It's one of the greatest questions a person can ask. If there's a God, and God is good, why is there suffering in the world? Most people find themselves asking this question at some point in their lives, and there can be no doubt life can sometimes get really dark. What I want to do is to suggest some Jewish approaches for how we can begin to understand this difficult question. Some approaches may only be applicable to certain situations. Some may speak to you and some may not. But hopefully they can provide some perspective on dealing with this difficult question. The first approach can be best explained with a story. There's a little baby toddler that has been given a big bouncy ball for his birthday. This ball is everything to him. He's playing with it every day. One day his mother accidentally leaves the front door open, and this little boy pushes the ball out of the front door and into the road. He chases after the ball, and as he begins to approach the road, his mother notices what is going on, and she grabs her son before he gets to the road. As the mother grabs her son, the ball gets run over by a car. Splat. What is the boy thinking right now? My mum has betrayed me. That ball was everything to him. It was his obsession, and now it's gone. And my mum, the person who is meant to look after me, has taken away the most important object in my life. But of course we know this couldn't be further from the truth. The mother has just saved the boy's life. You see, the gap in understanding between the mother and the boy is huge. The boy simply isn't able to understand why the mother did this. And the mother is prepared to risk her son being angry at her if it's going to save his life. And if that is the gap in understanding between a child and an adult, how much more so is the gap in understanding between finite human beings and an infinite God? We have a finite, limited perspective. We cannot always understand the bigger picture the way our Father in heaven can. Approach number 2 can be best summarized by a rabbinical saying documented in the Talmud: Lefum tsara agra. According to the effort is the reward. There can be no doubt that in life, growth only occurs through challenge and difficulty. We don't grow when we are in our comfort zone. If you want to build muscle, you have to put your body through physical exertion. And if you want to build a relationship, you have to put in the effort. And when people go through difficult challenges in life, be it health issues, financial troubles, or bereavement, one thing is for sure: they become people of substance. Challenges force us to confront our biggest defects and decide whether we want to build our moral character. This is not something God can give to us. It is something only we can do ourselves. Suffering also creates a vulnerability in relationships with ourselves, with others, and with God that can often provide a channel to bring them to newfound heights. Suffering makes us vulnerable, and vulnerability helps us realize that we need others. And so we connect with one another, we give to one another, and we grow. The third approach is to recognize a simple truth: life is temporary. No matter how painful suffering can become, one thing is guaranteed: it all ends at some point. We are all finite. We all die. The question then is this life all there is? If this life is all we have, then I would be much more troubled by the idea that God is a loving being. But if this world is merely a temporary journey that takes us to an infinite end, a place where we enjoy the fruits of the growth we have achieved in this temporary world, then that changes everything. The most compelling source of hope for human beings going through suffering is the saying attributed to King Solomon: "This too shall pass." If this temporary world will transition to a place of true peace and ultimate justice, then one can handle almost anything. Finally, number 4. The truth is, we are far better off being troubled by the question of suffering. For if we had an explanation, then we would make peace with suffering, and that misses the whole point. Imagine you're in a hospital and you hear a woman screaming with pain. Outside her room, her family is standing around, chatting and smiling and happy. You scream at them, "What's wrong with you? Can't you hear how much pain she's in?" They answer, "This is the delivery ward. She's having a baby, of course we're happy." You see, when you have an explanation of pain, it suddenly doesn't seem so bad anymore. But as long as the pain of innocence remains a burning question, we are bothered by its existence and moved to do something about it. We are not expected to or meant to understand suffering in this world ultimately. We cannot have all the answers, but we can choose how to respond. You know, in most religions, the question of suffering is typically asked by the heretics. But in Judaism, our leaders ask the question. Abraham was chosen by God instead of Noah because Abraham challenged God when he said he would destroy Sodom, whereas Noah accepted the world's predicament that there would be a flood without putting up much of a fight. Noah accepted, Abraham protested. Our leaders are praised for asking the question, why God, why? For as long as we cannot explain pain, we are responsible to do our best to alleviate it. And by asking the question, we are forced to look for answers and ultimately become a force for good.